I recently read 3 advanced reader copies that are coming out this fall that I wanted to share with you guys to add to your TBR. 3 books are different genres, so hopefully one of them will be a genre that you're interested in. Truthfully, one of my favorite things about doing social media and having a blog is having these publishing companies and PR companies reach out to me about these advanced reader copies. I feel so honored to be able to read someone's art before it goes out to the general public, and then I feel so lucky that I get to share it with you. I'm going to start this off really strong with my favorite book that I read out of the 3. It is Fallen City by Adrienne Young. You might have heard Adrienne Young's name before. She wrote The Unmaking of June, which I have not read, but is pretty popular. I see people talk about it. Something about this book, I really feel like I can see it being a hit, and I really think I can see this book going viral on Book Talks. If you want to be ahead of the curve, check this one out on November 4th. If you're expecting a fantasy book that's kind of more like fae and like lots of magic, you're not going to get that with this book. The vibe you will get from this book is like Roman Empire and kind of like the Roman gods intervening. There are aspects of like supernatural magic from the gods. That's where the fantasy aspect comes in. The romance part, I would say, is relatively closed door. So if you were looking for a romance that is not super smutty, a little bit more closed door, I think this will be a good fit for you. The dynamics of the relationship are very, very interesting. It definitely leaves me wondering of what is going to happen in book 2. I really don't want to give too much away about this book, but basically romantasy, Roman Empire, war, kind of like a forbidden romance. I gave this one 4.25 stars. It was really good, and I'm really excited to read book 2. I'm thinking I'm going to do a full summary recap on this book so that when book 2 comes out, we'll all have a refresher. So if you want a full summary review of this book, hit subscribe, and that'll be coming probably after the book is formally released. This next book is called And Then There Was You by Sophie Cousens. You might have heard Sophie Cousens' name before. She wrote This Time Next Year, which is a pretty popular book. Now, this one is a romance, but it has a little bit of a sci-fi aspect. I don't want to give anything away. It happens pretty early on in the book. It really caught me off guard to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to like this? The book really grew on me, and it had a message that I think is very relevant for today. Basically, the main character, Chloe, is going back to her college for her 10-year college reunion, and she kind of feels like a failure, like she's just not doing what everyone expected her to do. She kind of just feels inferior. She kind of feels like her love life is a flop. And so she goes to this matchmaking service, kind of like get a date maybe to take with her to this reunion to make it look like to others at the reunion that maybe like she has some aspects of her life together. I wasn't expecting there to be a love triangle in this book, and I also wasn't expecting the love interest to be who it was. I don't know, this book made me kind of laugh. Like, it was cute. I liked the characters. I liked the setting. I think it was in Cambridge. I just think it's really unique. And if you read it and you think you're going to be turned off by it, I'd say like just keep reading and give it a chance. I think this one has the potential to make waves because it is unique and complex, but it's still a cute rom-com story. And then lastly, we have 10,000 Light Years from OK by Tracy, Dobmeier, and Wendy Katzman. I believe this book comes out December 1st. For some reason, I had written down that this book comes out in November, but I think it comes out December 1st. This book is written by an author duo. I would classify as general fiction, just like a general novel. I started reading it, I thought it was going to turn into a romance, and I was like, oh, this isn't quite what I was expecting. Basically, the main character, Thea, she's a widow and an author, and her husband had died in this really kind of like freak accident. She has not written in a long time because her debut novel was about this husband who died in the exact same way that her husband died. And there are other events in her life that make her start to believe that whatever she publishes happens in her life. And she is inspired to write something happy in hopes that it'll come true in her life. So she writes this fairy tale romance about an astronaut, and it gets published, and lo and behold, on her pub day, she meets an astronaut, and they kind of like hit it off. I'm not going to give anything away, but when this happened, I was like, oh, is this book a romance? But something about it just felt really unsettling. It's like, ugh, what is happening? Like, what is off about this book? It's just kind of start to escalate and escalate. Ultimately, this book is not a romance. It is a book about grief and forgiveness. And I think because I thought it was going to go in a different direction, I thought this book was really unique. What I will say is the ending was not my favorite. It was a little bit, tiny bit rushed, and ended on a note that I was just kind of like, If I'm ignoring the last 10 pages, I really enjoyed this book. If you like reading fiction about like grief or loss or things like that, I think you may enjoy this one too. So yeah, there's 3 books to add to your TBR this fall and winter. I love reading ARCs, and if you like hearing about like what books are coming out soon so that you can be the first to read them before like everyone else does, let me know if I should do more ARC review videos like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!